Welcome back, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales. We do have a tornado warning that has just been issued now. This is for Tama County, and we want to get in on that storm now and show you where it is and where it's going and some of the effects of the warning here. First of all, as you can see, it is Marshall and Tama counties both. That'll be out until 4:30 this afternoon, and it is a tornado warning. Right now, we do have a cell in that area that is indicating some rotation and potentially a developing tornado. So let's get to the radar here, and we'll be able to show you what's going on. And there's a strong line of thunderstorms now developing ahead of a cold front and low pressure that extends all the way through north central Iowa and into the southeastern parts of the state. As we get to Tama County, there's the storm that we are concerned about, and we'll get closer in on that right now and be able to put a fan on that and give you the cities that are in the actual path of this potentially developing tornado. And right now it looks like it's going to be heading out towards Garwin and Tama and Sheridan, some of those other locations, as it continues to move in an east-northeast direction at a pretty rapid clip. So right now it appears that LeGrand and Tama and Toledo, those are some of the bigger metro areas there that this is going to hit first. And then eventually, if it holds together, should be around Cloutier and Belle Plaine between now and 5:06. Justin, anything that you can add to the storm you've seen over there in terms of social media or any of the
really one of the things we're watching is just this has been blowing up since about lunchtime today, and we're starting to see those reports now of downed trees. We're starting to see those reports of gusty winds. I mean, around the Newton area just a bit ago, reports of about the 70-mile-an-hour wind there. So that's one of the biggest threats. But obviously, as we've been mentioning actually last couple of days, that these things are developing so quick, and that's one of the biggest threats when it comes to tornadic activity, is when these develop so quick and they move so quick. It's almost the perfect recipe for these tornadoes to start developing this late in the season.
It's kind of interesting, too, to note that this is a late-season outbreak, and these are what are called low-top supercells. You think on tornado days, usually it's 75, 85 degrees, a lot of humidity. Clearly, that was not the case today. So we have some very intense dynamics that are driving the storms. A lot of rotation in the atmosphere, what we call shear, and that's what's spinning up these thunderstorms. And from time to time, some of these spin-ups can actually produce some tornadoes. On a day like today, these typically are short-lived, but they're tornadoes nonetheless. And something to be concerned about as the line rapidly moves in a northeasterly direction. We have had some reports out around Des Moines, a little east of there towards Newton, of some wind gusts to 65 miles per hour, and that's another issue. When you get storms this strong, you're likely going to see some high winds. So even if there are no tornadoes, wind gusts of 60 to 65 miles an hour appear quite likely in some of the stronger thunderstorms. Let's go in a little closer on that storm there in Tama County, if we could, and see if we can find the core that might be producing the rotation. And to do that, we're going to have to eventually go into the velocity mode here. So if you can do that for me, we'll see if we can pick it out. And I think I see it down there west of Gilman and southeast of Melbourne. You can go in a little, there you go. Actually, it looks more like it's just southwest of Gilman. And that is the part of the storm that does have some rotation right there. So if there is a tornado, and you've got your marker right on it, Justin, that's the location that it would be found in.
And that noise you heard in the background there, that's also thunderstorm warnings. We've been tracking those all day as well. Severe thunderstorm warning now for Benton County. That does include Vinton. That does include the Belle Plaine area. That is going to stay in effect until I believe 5:45 this evening. So that and that's, Terry, where this is headed next. As you can see, It's all moving up to the north and east there.
Going on that storm a little bit in Gilman now, this new scan here has really shown some much more distinct rotation there. You see where the yellow is? That's where we've got opposing wind fields there, and there is some strong rotation with that storm. And again, that looks like it's going to go just to the northwest of Gilman. If you can get in a little bit, well, actually give me a fan on that. That's probably the best thing we can do. You might have to back out just a little bit because you are in so tight there, but I want to stay in fairly tight on that so we can keep an eye on that rotation. And it looks like that is heading right towards the Tama area, but it is exhibiting some pretty strong rotation right now and should be in the Tama area by 4:52 this afternoon.
And Terry, I'm going to cut you off. Brand new tornado warning now for Iowa and Keokuk counties also in the viewing area. So I'm going to take us back to the counties, just kind of get the lay of the land real quick. And these will stay in effect until right up to the 5 o'clock hour this evening. So you can see kind of where we've been watching radar, that entire line developing quick, shifting quick. This needs to put the neighboring counties of Johnson County, and let's go ahead and sound the horn for Benton County as well. I know it's a severe thunderstorm warning for you folks, but these are moving quick, so kind of be prepared and get ready to take shelter here in a very short amount of time.
And there's another view of the radar, and you can see this is a pretty solid line. These are not what you would call your classic supercells where you can individually see a big cluster of thunderstorm just sitting over one individual county. There's embedded parts of rotation in the actual line, which is creating these numerous tornado warnings. And since this system is intensifying so rapidly and the surface low is so deep, there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere, a lot of rotation, which is generating these tornado warnings. And sometimes in a situation like this, the storms will maybe last 10, 15 minutes, and then they'll kind of fizzle out and a new one will form in another location. So again, with fast-moving storms and this type of situation, you really got to be on your toes because things are going to change quickly as this line rapidly moves on to the northeast. And right now, it looks like Sigourney and Williamsburg, Washington, Riverside, Cedar Rapids eventually by about 5 o'clock tonight, and even over towards West Liberty and Muscatine. Some of the storms are headed that direction. So let's go back to the tornado watch too, and you can talk a little bit about that and show our viewers where that's in effect.
Yeah, this is essentially for just about all the viewing area except for our far northern counties. This, excuse me, is going to stay with us until, until 9 o'clock this evening. This includes Waterloo, Dubuque, Manchester, Independence, and just because the conditions are so favorable and so ripe for this, that these are developing quick, they're moving quick, so where the tornado warning is now, you figure about 20 minutes to a half hour later, it will be moving almost straight line northeast. So, and as we say that, there's a brand new slew of thunderstorm warnings just off to our west as well.
Yeah, so the areas that are not under tornado warnings most likely are going to be under severe thunderstorm warnings. So it's pretty apparent that about the southern two-thirds of our viewing area, there's going to be a lot of activity and probably severe weather warnings as we go through the next 1 to 2 hours as the line continues to move northeast. And let's see if we can't get back into that storm there that's probably not too far away from Williamsburg. I'm guessing a little west of there, maybe Victor, somewhere out in that area. Go back to your velocity mode if you wouldn't mind there. There's a pretty impressive cell there not too far away from Sigourney that looks like it has a little rotation with it. And then there's the one to the northwest of Grinnell we talked about earlier. So let's go back up to that one northwest of Grinnell there and see how that's shaping up. That's still clearly the best couplet we have on the radar right now. So if there was one particular storm that I'd be most concerned about, it is that one there, which is moving northeast and heading up towards the Tama area in the next 15 to 20 minutes. The whole front, though, appears to be making very fast progress northeast. So I'm thinking the severe weather will be over in our western counties by about 6 o'clock tonight and probably in our far eastern counties around 8 o'clock this evening. But not too much in the way of severe weather up north tonight. It's going to be the southern two-thirds of our viewing area that get in on the stronger storms, Justin.
And we're watching this entire line. One of the biggest threats we've been talking about for so long is these very strong winds. And this line is awfully impressive. I mean, all the way down from Keosauqua, all the way back up to Fort Dodge. But it looks like we're watching some storms start to now intensify a bit up towards the Waverly area, Shell Rock, excuse me, and kind of heading up towards the north and east in that direction. So certainly need to watch that. But it looks like the biggest activity, Tama, Marshalltown, and then kind of rolling from Newton over towards Williamsburg on I-80 at this hour, too.
Yeah, and another thing that you can kind of see out of the formation of the line here is that there's some loops or what we call bows in there where there's likely going to be some stronger winds. And the way this is filling in now, yeah, there's one spot right in there, and then a little further to the south you can see another. Wouldn't shock me at all to see some winds of at least 60 miles an hour in those locations. And where it's not 60, probably going to be 40 to 50 in the rest of that line, which extends from Marshalltown all the way back to the southeast of Grinnell. So that definitely looks to me like a situation where there's going to be some strong winds.
And you mentioned that. We're just getting some reports into the National Weather Service now. Ottumwa, which is where this has been kind of slowly passing through. There we see it's already moved through the Ottumwa area, but look at that signature right there. Yeah. You can see that kind of just towards the east of Ottumwa there. They had a wind gusts of about 60 to 65 mile an hour there. That's out at the airport in Ottumwa. And also around Knoxville, they're now reporting thunderstorm damage, some roofs blown off buildings, and the possibility of a tornado. And that's just a little bit kind of see up towards the north and west of the Ottumwa area. So this is all that same line that's just been kind of moving so quickly as it continues to shuffle through eastern Iowa at a pretty good clip, moving at about, let's get the exact speed here, moving off towards the north and east at about 45 mile an hour.
Yeah, and that might even be a little bit of an underestimate. These things are definitely hauling it out there. So when we put your warning out for your county here, it isn't going to take long for a storm to go 30, 40 miles an hour, maybe 15 minutes or so to go 30 miles. So again, when we put a warning out for you, you better take it seriously tonight, because these are very fast-moving storms, and the potential is there for a tornado or two around some parts of eastern Iowa. And to prove that, we do have tornado warnings that are in effect. Now, the good news in these tornado warnings is that this is all Doppler indicated to this point. We have had no confirmation of tornadoes, but we have had some reports of damage from some portions out to the west of Tama and down to the area around Newton in central Iowa. So the thunderstorms certainly are capable of producing damage as they move on to the northeast. And that tornado warning you're looking at there is for Marshall and Tama counties until 4:30. Then we've got other ones to the southeast. Let's highlight those once again, Justin, and give our viewers an idea of the time on those. So that's the Iowa Keokuk one until 5 o'clock. And then we have one other one, don't we, that catches parts of maybe Johnson County in there?
That's
Not quite, I
a
guess.
thunderstorm
Yeah,
warning.
there you go. And then one back to further to the west of that even, it looks like.
Yep, we've got
There you go. That's the
Mahaska, that's till 5 o'clock, and then you can see another little piece that was just issued here. This is for Mahaska and Poweshiek until 5 o'clock. Now, you might be wondering, sitting at home, well, Doppler indicated, what does that mean? I mean, it means, you know, they say that all the time when we do severe weather, but to really explain that, Terry, we get into the storm, we can kind of see what we were looking at earlier when you were talking about those couplets there, and that's really one of the definitive signs as to when we see those swirling winds. We've seen that north of Grinnell, up around that Tama County area, but it looks like some of those signatures are kind of popping back onto the screen around just towards the south and west of Sigourney as well.
Why don't you go back up just a little bit to the north? See Grinnell there? There's our south. Keep going just a touch more. And there you can see where Tama is located. And where you're seeing some of those enhanced colors, that's just southeast of Marshalltown and southwest of Tama. That's where we're seeing some of the stronger rotation. You can probably go in a notch more on the radar there, and we can talk a little bit about that too. And there you're getting in there. And you can see two areas there where it looks like there is some rotation. But what this indicates is where you have the brighter colors of orange and red there, that's where the winds are blowing one direction. And then you get into the other colors that are much darker, that's where the winds are blowing in an opposite direction. So that's what's known as a couplet, or gate-to-gate shears happening there. And so we're seeing some pretty good rotation with that particular cell. It doesn't mean it's necessarily reaching ground, but that's one of the telltale signs that we look for.
And as we mentioned that, continuing on with the tornado warnings, we're on the air for Iowa, Keokuk County until 5. We've got the Poweshiek County till 5 o'clock here, Tama County until 4:30, Mahaska till 4:30 as well. We knew that this would develop fast, it would develop quick, but as you've been mentioning, the good news is it moves out relatively quickly as well. So it doesn't mean, well, we're all free and clear here, but it means that with these moving so quickly, it covers a lot of ground in a short amount of time.
No doubt about that. These are very fast-moving thunderstorms, and so I think the whole thing will be out of eastern Iowa by 8 o'clock tonight. I also wanted to go up by State Center there. I see another area that looks kind of interesting. If you can go in a little tighter on that region, there's clearly some more rotation showing up in that storm there. So these things are just kind of popping up all over eastern Iowa, and not hardcore signatures, would you say. On the other hand, they are rotating, and they are supercells, and they are capable of producing tornadoes. But I've certainly seen stronger signatures in recent events, but something to watch just the same.
Update here from the National Weather Service. Tornado warning continues for Iowa and Keokuk County. And this is right now located over Cheer, moving just towards the northwest of Sigourney, northeast at about 50. But I would estimate that they're probably clipping a little bit faster than that, just because how quickly the ground, how much ground they're covering here in this short amount of time. I want to zoom out and show you the radar, and we're going to put a tracker on this. This is one of two areas we're watching here. You can see around that Tama area, and you mentioned, Terry, earlier here, some of those little notches, some of those little hooks where we're seeing some of those strong winds. Look just towards the east of Marshalltown there. Also around that Tama area where we're seeing some of those areas that could be really throwing some wind at a very quick pace.
Well, you'd mentioned a storm around Knoxville, too, and I think we've got some video, or pictures at least, to show you of some of the damage that has occurred there. And obviously, it blew over a pretty good-sized tree. And I don't know if we have, there's some other images there. Kind of hard to see from my perspective, but clearly some trees were topped out there. And that type of damage to me does look like maybe a tornado. It may not be fully to the ground there, but the way it snipped off the tops of the trees and then topped out that other tree to the side of the house looks like.
About 50 minutes ago, out at the Eastern Iowa, or not East, excuse me, the Des Moines International Airport, they had confirmed that a tornado touched down. National Guard trailers at the airport and trailers at a building across the street from the airport suffered major damage. Tower control at the airport in Des Moines reported seeing a funnel cloud with eventually did touch down on the ground. We're getting all kinds of updates here all of a sudden.
I mean, we've just got nonstop warnings. It's going to be a very active evening around eastern Iowa as this line of storms come through. Generally speaking, when it lines up like it's doing right now, that does minimize the tornado threat a little bit. All the energy is not concentrated in one particular cell, but these small spin-ups can develop, which will produce some damage. So we are expecting the potential for a lot of winds as this whole line moves to the northeast, and here and there potentially some brief tornado spin-ups. But the storms you're looking at there just to the northeast of Grinnell should be heading on into Tama, Belle Plaine, Traer, Marengo, and eventually to Vinton and pretty close to Cedar Rapids here by 5:30 this evening as they move quickly off to the northeast.
One of the neat tools we have with this new technology that we've been lucky enough to get here at Channel 2 is that we can actually kind of show you a 3D model of what some of these clouds and what these storms look like.
Right.
And let's zoom into that one around the Tama area. And what this shows us is how high the clouds get up in the atmosphere. And as we zoom out, you can see these are topping out at about 50,000, but you notice how kind of consistent it is. 30, 40,000 feet, a lot of energy, quick moving energy here, kind of swinging into eastern Iowa here over the past bit, and will continue for the next hour and a half or so at least.
Yeah, you know, in general, I would say most of the tops are probably under 40,000 feet there, but that's the interesting thing about today's outbreak is that these aren't 50, 60,000 foot thunderstorms that you'd expect to see in May or June. These are much, much lower on their tops, down around 30,000 feet. So the instability is not all that great today to drive these towering thunderheads, but the shear in the atmosphere is exceptional, and that is what is creating the rotating storms, the fast movement, and the potential winds that are likely as this whole line continues to sweep on through eastern Iowa. But it is really cool when you can do that cross-section like that and see into the heart of the storm. And that's another way for us to see rotation within the actual storms and even some embedded hail. And that's one thing we haven't looked at too much either is our hail product. We can go in and see if there's any hail on these things, but up to now, that doesn't seem like it's been a real big issue. So
yeah, we'll pull up that hail, and I do want to welcome in our listeners from the mighty 1630 KCJJ joining us live on the air here this afternoon now. Continuous weather coverage here on Channel 2 and Fox 28. And we're taking a look at some of the current hail and really some of the past hail here too. Terry has shown just a little bit of some of those storms in the southern part, just outside of our viewing area, but that potential of what's to come. And that's one of those things this time of year when you get a storm like this. And as we were talking earlier before we went on the air, it's rare, but it's not out of the question to see tornadoes this time of year and damaging winds and hail too.
Well, I know you and I both recall, I think it was about 10 years ago, the tornadoes that just missed Ames during an Iowa State football game. That was in mid-November, and that was an EF3 tornado. That was a very strong one, and that could have been just a disastrous situation. So they can happen. And just over to the east in Illinois a couple years ago, Washington, Illinois, just annihilated by an EF4, almost EF5 tornado, and I think that was about the 17th of November. So you do have to have the right circumstances, but not at all out of the question to see tornadoes this time of year, and there are the warnings that are currently in effect now around eastern Iowa.
And we are going to add, we just added to that list here, as you saw it just pop up on screen, brand new tornado warnings. These will go until 5 o'clock for Grundy, Marshall, and Tama County. That includes, obviously, extension of that Tama County warning we're seeing now, but it also includes very southern Grundy County and as well as very far eastern Marshall County. And one of the interesting things here to point out too, Terry, is notice how quickly that map has changed in the last 15, 20 minutes, where originally we were looking at warnings off towards the south and west here. Those have since expired, and they continue to quickly move up towards the north and east there, and that's what we've been talking about all day, how quick these are developing, how quick they're moving throughout eastern Iowa as well.
Can't emphasize that enough. These are going to be very, very fast-moving storms, probably as much as 50 miles an hour. But something we do have now is some video. I believe this is from KCCI in Des Moines as the storms came through there. And that is a pretty impressive looking cell, to say the least. Look at the trees and the debris blowing off the trees there. A lot of leaves, no doubt, and some torrential rainfall. But you're probably looking at winds there that are at minimum 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you can hear it. They brought up the sound. You can hear some of those heavy rains, those gusty winds as well. There's the tracker on this newest tornado warning you can see around the Grundy and Tama County area. Dysart, 436. Van Horn, 442. So starting to move into Benton County here a bit as we continue to watch these lines move up towards the east and the north. Cedar Rapids still looking at after the 5 o'clock hour. Up towards Buchanan County, if these continue their same track and their same constant northeast movement, it would be around Independence into Buchanan County at 5:14. Central City and Lynn County at 5:20. Anamosa into Jones County at 5:31.
If you would be so kind as to go in tighter on that particular cell there, I'd like to see if we can see anything on the velocity mode there, but you can see not too far away from Garwin. That's undoubtedly what the National Weather Service is looking at, that little region right in there. And you can see there is some circulation, not massive by any stretch, but with low-top supercells, this is the type of stuff you expect to see. So there is a potential tornado developing in that area, and it looks like that is going to pass very close to Garwin here in the next 5 minutes as that storm zooms on to the northeast. And ultimately, that's going to be heading up towards the Cedar Rapids area here in the next 15 to 20 minutes, probably a little northwest of Cedar Rapids, but more like up towards Traer.
Let's go back to the basic return on the radar here. You can see right now Tama, Brooklyn, you folks getting some very strong winds, some very heavy rain, and this continues up towards the north and east. So Belle Plaine, you're on notice. Elbron, you're on notice. Traer, Gladbrook, you folks too on notice. This will be moving into your area with some of the strongest winds in the next 10 to 15 minutes, kind of crossing over Highway 21, heading up towards the Vinton area. Vinton, I would say probably within the next 20 minutes to maybe half hour, if at the latest, this will be moving up your way. But Keystone, Blairstown, Newhall, folks, this line continues to move awfully quick. And this is a quick-moving thunderstorm and obviously tornado warning. As you can see, all the different counties we're highlighting here. 1, 2, 3 different areas of tornado warnings that we're watching this afternoon. And if you were, and we know a lot of kids are home from school at this point, a lot of kids maybe waiting for mom and dad to get home. If you feel scared, these things can be kind of scary. We need you to get to that interior, the most interior room of your house, be it a bathroom, get down to the basement and take the radio with you or turn the TV up really loud so you can continue to hear what's going on. But you need to make sure you get yourself somewhere safe, because not only the tornadic threat, but these gusty winds can do a lot of damage, like we've seen in central Iowa, in the the Newton area, in the Knoxville area too, as it continues to move here through the forecast.
And as you can see, the line is going to be approaching Waterloo, Vinton, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Washington, some major metropolitan areas in our viewing area in the next half an hour to an hour. So if you're in any of those cities or anywhere in that line there, you can expect these thunderstorms to rapidly move in here during the next hour or so, and strong winds are a distinct possibility of 50 to 60 miles per hour. If we do have that video from KCCI once again, I wanted to give you an idea of what some of the stronger storms are capable of doing. But again, that was some really intense thunderstorm activity there. I'll just let it go. You can hear the sound on this.
Oh boy. This, I believe, is the cold front that's passing through.
Well, no doubt right there, that storm probably produced at least 60 to 65 mile per hour gusts. There was one big burst there when you saw the leaves getting blown off the trees there, that it was very, very intense. So they don't last very long, and they won't be in one spot very long, but the thunderstorms will continue to advance across our central and eastern counties now in the next 1 to 2 hours, just blazing fast at about 50-55 miles an hour, and they should be out of all of eastern Iowa by 8 o'clock tonight. But Justin, we do have the tornado watch in effect that I'd like you to put up one more time, and you can expound on that a little bit if you want.
Yeah, and this looks like it's expanded just a little further north, too. Now it does include Bremer County as well as Butler County, so now we're talking about Waverly, Shell Rock, back towards the Parkersburg, Applington area, the Allison area as well, all the way over towards the east around Dubuque County, Monticello into Jones County. Lynn and Cedar counties as well. One of the other things we want to mention to you, obviously we're on the air for tornado warning, but look at some of the winds and how they're expected to increase gust-wise over the next few hours. So here's the beginning, and then as we head through the evening, these storms move out, and then we'll see very strong winds to follow it. So not only are we having tornado warnings in effect right now, but we've got a couple strong thunderstorm warnings in effect. Benton and Iowa County, severe thunderstorm warning continues for you folks until 5:15, and the severe thunderstorm warning for Van Buren, Keokuk, and Washington County in effect till 5. But really, that's kind of trumped by these tornado warnings that continue to move through the east and north here, and they're doing that awfully quickly. Let's reset on those. A tornado warning for Iowa and Keokuk County, so almost all of Iowa County. This does include the Williamsburg area, back towards the Amanas, up towards Marengo, kind of knocking on the door of Benton County. And we also have the tornado warning for Grundy, Marshall, and Tama County, very southern Grundy County, and then kind of north and western Tama County. So north of Tama, kind of back towards the Amber area, and kind of back towards those areas, just nudging on the far eastern side of the Marshall County area here this afternoon.
Now let's go in a little bit closer on some of the storms. Let's start down south and then kind of work our way to the northwest, because there's warnings all out on this line from top to bottom. But down around the Sigourney area there, you can see a strong storm has just passed through Sigourney and is now headed towards Keota. And up around North English there, you can see a little notch there, that little hook almost there. I wouldn't mind going in on the velocity mode on that, right in that spot right in there, and see if we're indicating any rotation. Nothing that really stands out there, but that's an area that I would certainly look for some stronger winds. And so further to the northwest, the line continues on up to Brooklyn there. And from there, it's going to be heading up towards Victor, I'm sure, and then right on up to the northwest, heading up to Belle Plaine. Shouldn't be too much longer before you get in on the storms. They have passed through the Tama area. Haven't heard anything out of there, so apparently that circulation we saw there earlier has weakened a little bit. And then finally, as you head on up towards Cloutier, west of Traer, and then finally to the southwest of Waterloo, still a strong line of just almost steady red there, which indicates that most of that area should see 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, perhaps a few places with 60 mile an hour gusts. But it sure looks to me like the strongest storms right now are from just about Williamsburg back down to North English. There's a couple of very intense cells there that are showing up quite nicely on the actual radar.
And a brand new severe thunderstorm warning now. This is for Black Hawk County, so for Waterloo up towards the Jessup area. Also, this extends the severe thunderstorm warning for Tama County. Both of those in effect until 5:30 this evening. And now just an update to the tornado warning in Iowa County. It continues to intensify, continues to keep its northeast track, so it's moving quick, which means as we look at our tracker here, Terry, you can see it's going to be knocking on the door of Benton County, Lynn County, as well as Johnson County, just right up against the wall, heading that way here very quickly, very soon.
Seems to be anywhere from 5:15 to 5:30 when the storms will be entering the Cedar Rapids metro area. That's a pretty good estimate, I would say. I wouldn't mind going back into Iowa County a little bit closer on this and see what we can find out with that cell down that way. And I noticed that the National Weather Service was talking that up just a little bit there. But there you can see it working through there. Again, I'm not seeing any distinct rotation on that. And now the way the storms are lined up, it's pretty linear. And so any rotation is probably not going to last very long, but I sure could see a lot of wind out of this line, which is moving rapidly northward at 50 to 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. And it extends now from about Waterloo just to the west of Vinton, down to the west of Cedar Rapids, and then west of Iowa City. So this is going to be coming into major metro areas here in the next 15 to 30 minutes. And there is going to be some wind and some torrential rains for a short period of time.
Let's go back to some of the storm reports as you look at the radar. Prairie City, wind damage, 65 mile an hour. That would be out rural side of town there, around Appanoose County. So again, that's just on the outside of our viewing area. Multiple reports of property damage. Power poles snapped north of the Lake Rathburn area, so that's again north of Des Moines. But again, this is what that storm has done as it continues to move up towards the north and east, and now starting to get into the heart of our viewing area here in the next 15 to 20 minutes.
And as we've talked about, there are some tornado warnings in effect, and that is the reason that we are remaining on the air with our coverage tonight. That is our policy here. As long as we have tornado warnings out, we will stay on the air until those expire or we feel there is no longer any severe weather threat. And here are the two areas that we have warnings in now. One of those is out for Grundy, Marshall, and Tama counties. That warning is out until around 5 o'clock. And then the other area further to the southeast is for Iowa County, and that one's also valid until 5. And so we've got another 15 minutes or so to go here before those would expire. Still no confirmed reports of any tornadoes in our viewing area, but a couple of tornado warnings in effect for that possibility. Otherwise, severe thunderstorm warnings are going to cover just about every other area from north to south across this line, and you can see those now from Waterloo all the way back through Washington and down to east of Ottumwa in the southeastern tip of the state. So there you've got Black Hawk, Grundy, and Tama counties out till 5:30 tonight. Further south, there's Benton till 5:15. And further south of there, you get into Jefferson, Keokuk, Van Buren, and Washington counties until 5 o'clock this evening. And then finally, way down in the southeast, the storms extend all the way into Missouri with severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for those cells as well. So one big line heading northeast. Still got our tornado watch in effect for all these counties in yellow until 9 o'clock tonight.
I think one of the things we could touch on here, Terry, is that how these storms are going to continue to kind of move through the forecast. There's predictor. Let's look ahead into time here, and it looks like by 7 o'clock, the worst of this, it moves out. We get a little bit of a break, but that's just from the precipitation because the winds will pick up this evening. They will stay strong, 35 to 45 mile-an-hour winds. We'll have showers still with us through the overnight hours through about 6 tomorrow morning. Very windy day tomorrow, too. I mean, nothing severe weather-wise expected, but we will have some very strong winds for our Thursday on into the afternoon and evening. And because of that, we look into the future, and we're going to have some very strong winds ahead of us. So we get through the storms now over the next couple of hours. Then we're left with some very gusty winds, 40 to as much as some of the forecasts that we are looking at, up to 50 mile-an-hour wind gusts this evening. But that, of course, after we get done dealing with all these intense storms that are moving through now.
And you can kind of see that area where there are no storms now around Des Moines. That's where the center of the low pressure is currently located, maybe just a little bit west of Des Moines. So it continues to advance northeast. So what it's doing is pumping in dry air to central and southern Iowa, and eventually that's going to just push this line way out of here by 8 o'clock tonight. And then the cold air will wrap in around the low pressure, and that's when those winds will rev up. We're going to have a very, very tight pressure gradient around here, and I expect some winds to reach 50 to 55 miles per hour. And that has nothing to do with thunderstorms. Those are just straight line winds thanks to the deep pressure of the low, which continues to advance through northeastern Iowa. But once that goes on by, that is it for any severe weather potential. And you can see now out to the west of us, the threat of any severe weather is gone for places like Des Moines and Grinnell and Ottumwa and all the way down into Missouri. So the front is making nice progress onto the northeast.
Just a second ago, thunderstorm warning now that's in effect for Washington County, and you can kind of see that on the radar here. We can look around that area, Jefferson, Van Buren, Keokuk, that's until 5 o'clock. This is a new warning with some gusty winds as much as 70 miles an hour within this storm as it continues to move through Williamsburg and kind of back towards the Washington area, back down towards Keota as well. So it looks like we're starting to slowly transition into more of a wind event instead of a tornadic event, but still we do have those tornado warnings that are in effect for the viewing area, and those will stay with us. I think the last one expires here at the top of the hour at 5 o'clock this evening for Poweshiek, Iowa, Tama, and Grundy County.
And if you're wondering what 70-mile-per-hour winds can do, we have a picture which was taken by the Iowa Storm Chasing Network, and it is a semi that encountered one of these storms out around Knoxville, and you can see it just blew the thing right over on its side there and knocked it right off the road. So high-profile vehicles will have an issue with these storms, and then later on again tonight as we get the winds to go back up around 55 on the backside of the storm, more of these high-profile vehicles will be in danger as these winds sweep across eastern Iowa on the backside of the storm. But pretty impressive stuff there.
A bunch of brand new warnings coming at us now, Terry. These are severe thunderstorm warnings with the main threat being winds. This does include, as we mentioned to you earlier, now thunderstorm warnings for Lynn, as well as Johnson, Louisa, and Washington County. That's until 5:45. And severe thunderstorm warnings for Benton and Iowa County till 5:15. Biggest threats here as they continue to move off towards the east and north. Winds 60+ mile an hour, nickel-size hail, and I believe, if memory serves correct, we should start hearing the sirens in Johnson County, because that is some of their criteria to start sounding those outdoor warning sirens. Winds in excess of 60 mile an hour. So don't be surprised around the Iowa City area, the North Liberty area, Coralville area, if you start hearing those sirens because of that threat of wind now moving into Johnson County.
Right, and so far, no tornado warning. So if you do hear the sirens there, at least right now, that would be, as you mentioned, related to the high winds that have developed in some of this line that's moving rapidly onto the northeast. So Williamsburg right now, you're taking a shot there. You can see Belle Plains in the throes of it. Marengo, you're going to see some strong winds here very shortly, too. And then it all heads on to the northeast. So you can see right towards Coralville and the Coral Ridge Mall. You're going to have some gusty winds there within about 15 minutes. So batten down the hatches in Iowa City and Coralville, and that'll head up towards Solon, Walford, and Lisbon. And then further to the northwest, you can see Cedar Rapids, too, is going to be impacted by this line. So that's something to expect here in Cedar Rapids very shortly. You can see out to our west, around Belle Plaine, some other strong storms there. So wouldn't surprise me to see 50, 60 mile per hour winds in Vinton, Cedar Rapids, and down towards parts of Iowa City. Somewhere in that area, most likely going to see some wind speeds that reach at least 60 miles an hour.
Let's look at what's happening south of Grundy County and back towards the northern Tama County area. Again, we do have that tornado warning for those folks there. That is in effect until 5 this evening. And as we look at our reports, right now, we do have around the Albia area, so getting closer to that area. We've had wind gusts of 60 to 65 mile an hour. Looks like an update's coming our way, and we're going to get a couple changes on warnings here shortly, which some might be allowed to expire, but that's just a sign that it's turning into more of a rain and strong wind event. But with that, we're still watching those warnings down to the south, down around that Williamsburg area, Iowa County, and we, of course, have that severe thunderstorm warning for Lynn, as well as Johnson County, till 5:15 this evening. Blackhawk County, as well. Severe thunderstorm warning for you folks continues, too.
And let's push it just a little bit further south and get down around Washington there. It looks like some pretty active storms are going to be coming through Washington here very soon, too. If we go to our hail product, it looks to me like there might even be a little area of hail out to the west. There you go. You can see southwest of Richland there. There's probably some hail there, at least a ½ inch in diameter, nothing overly large. And that's one of the things that happens with these low-top supercells. They're not likely to produce a lot in the way of hail, but this one here does indicate 1-inch hail. That doesn't mean it's actually getting down to the ground, but our algorithms are showing us that. So as that storm moves northeast, there is the possibility of some small hail in Washington County here in the next 15 minutes as it zooms on to the northeast. And there you go, you're backing out just a little bit, and you can see on up to west of Iowa City there, right on Interstate 80, there's a strong storm there that's passing through Williamsburg right now, and that extends on back to the northwest towards Belle Plaine, and here and there, no doubt going to see some winds of 60 to 65 miles an hour as this bow echo-like feature continues to move rapidly across northeastern Iowa. But I certainly don't see anything right now that looks ominous in terms of tornado development, and that is certainly some good news.
Let's take a look at some of our sky cams. We do have a sky cam in Williamsburg, just not too far away from the I-80 area, that outlet mall. There you can see kind of what is happening in Williamsburg compared to what's happening to radar right now, and you can see a lot of flashes of lightning there. That's what it looks like from the picture, and this is what it looks like around the Williamsburg area. Of course, still that tornado warning in effect for Iowa County until 5 o'clock. But we mentioned to you earlier that we have that severe thunderstorm warning for Johnson County as this continues to move its way there towards the kind of central and the heart and the central part of Iowa City. Let me take you there, Terry, and you're gonna enjoy this picture. This is a live picture from what's happening over I-80 right now, and you can see how the skies are really gotten dark in the last little bit here as this intense line continues to move, and it's still a good 30-40 miles away from Iowa City, but it will be moving towards the north and east here, and it will be moving through Iowa City, through Coralville, through Solon, about the heart of the evening commute tonight. So that's one of those things, is not only the heavy rain, but some of the winds that are going to come along with this too.
Yeah, I was noticing way out in the horizon there, you can see way, way, way far off. Some pretty good shots of lightning there. I don't see anything right now, but yeah, just above the horizon there, if you look down towards the ground, every now and then you'll see a nice little flash of lightning in there. But they're still a ways away from Iowa City, but as you indicated, at the speed these are going, it isn't going to take it long to get into the Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty area, and then sweep on to the northeast towards Solon. But so far, no new tornado warnings here in the past half an hour or so. We're hoping that these can expire and we can get back to some regular programming here in our 5 o'clock show.
At 4:52, you're listening to severe weather coverage on CBS 2, Fox 28, CBS 2. Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales, along with me, Justin Roberts, joining you here. Also live on the mighty 1630 KCJJ, one of our weather partners down in Johnson County. We thank them for that, and we think that hopefully these will be moving awfully quickly as we have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in effect we'll tell you about shortly. Tornado warnings continue for Iowa County until 5 o'clock, for northern Tama County and very southern Grundy County until 5 o'clock this evening. Terry, I'll run through the severe thunderstorm warnings and I'll hand off to you with a look at radar and what's happening there. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue, the newest of which issued just about 10 minutes ago, a thunderstorm warning for Johnson, Lynn, Louisa, and Washington County. Those stay in effect until 5:45 this evening with some very strong, intense, gusty winds, and until 5:15 Benton County. You folks under a severe thunderstorm warning. Do want to remind you we also have that tornado watch in effect for most of the viewing area. That with us here until 9 o'clock this evening. Terry, we'll go back to you and radar.
And once you get back to the radar, what I'd like to do is hone in on a couple of metro areas. So let's go down to Cedar Rapids first, and we'll get in on this really close and give you a pretty good idea of where we are in relation to the storms here. And you can see the leading edge now is right up there around Walford, Newhall, and then back towards Vinton. But the strongest part of the storms are still a little bit west of there in Keystone, Belle Plaine, and down towards Marengo. And they are zipping quickly to the northeast. Let's go down to Iowa City now, and you can still see the storms there are probably a good 20 to 25 miles west of Iowa City, at least the hardcore parts of the cells. And so those will be moving in an east-northeast direction and will be coming across Iowa City in the next 10 to 20 minutes. And further south, Washington, looks like the storms are quickly approaching your area now, maybe some small hail with that cell there. And then we'll go up into the Washington area now, and you can see that Westchester and up towards Wellman, those thunderstorms there, doing a lot of flashing, no doubt some lightning and heavy rain. There's an area, there's a hail core you can see just south of Wellman, and that's moving northeast too. So along with the torrential rains, you can expect to see a little small hail, especially to the southeast of Wellman as that storm moves on to the northeast. And let's go up around the Waterloo area too. We haven't touched on that too much here, but you can see the cells just don't have as much red here, indicating lesser intensity. So while you're getting some good rains and perhaps some gusty winds, the stronger winds are going to stay just to the south and east where there's a little bit better instability. And it sounds like you got something on the
Just some
there.
updates to our tornado warnings. It looks like no new issuance, so these might, looks like all signs will be allowed to expire up in the Tama County area, that North Tama County area. This is the one we're looking at right here. You can see that highlighted area. The tornado warning for Grundy and Tama looks like it will be allowed to expire at 5 o'clock. But as we do that, we mentioned that you can see that severe thunderstorm warning continues for those folks until 5:30, and then down to the south, severe thunderstorm warning for Benton and Iowa County till 5:30. And our severe thunderstorm warning for the Lynn County area, for Johnson County, Louisa, and Washington County, that's going to stay in effect until 5:45. Let's track this real quick because we've been mentioning how far away it is, but the bigger question is how long away it is. 5:02, probably the worst of it starts to move through Vinton and northern Benton County. Cedar Rapids, the eastern Iowa airport, about 5:18. Again, that's the heart of the drive home. Solon, about 5:21. Fairview and up towards the Jones County area, Anamosa and Monticello after the bottom of the hour at 5:42 and getting closer to 6 o'clock there this evening.
And with the storms approaching our Cedar Rapids area here, we can take you outside on a live camera now and show you what's advancing in. Just dark, ominous skies. There's some lightning off to the west. Don't see it in the picture there right now, but for the moment, we are awaiting the storms, which will probably be in the Cedar Rapids metro area within the next 15 minutes. I would expect gusty winds and some torrential rains as the storms quickly blow through here and move into our eastern counties in the next 1 to 2 hours. And as we do go back to our radar here, I want you to back out a little bit on this, if you could, Justin. And what I want to show, even a bigger view of this, is where the actual storm center is. And you can see it's moving right up into the central part of Iowa right now. It's sucking dry air into the south central parts of the state. So you've got the thunderstorms in eastern Iowa, and on the cold side of the storm, even some snow falling in eastern Nebraska right now. So the dry slot is now heading northeast into eastern Iowa, and that will end any showers and thunderstorms in our viewing area quickly during the evening hours from west to east. In fact, most of the storms have probably already moved out of our far western counties, but still a strong line of thunderstorms now advancing through eastern Iowa at around 45 to 50 miles per hour, and that'll be in the Cedar Rapids and Iowa City metro area here very shortly.
Let's take a look at some of our live sky cams, and we'll take you to Williamsburg. They've been under the gun for a while, and you can see the view. It looks like cars pulling over to the side of the interstate now, Terry, as we look live from high above.
Yep.
Not a bad idea. Certainly, if you can't see, the visibility is reduced. You don't want to keep driving on at 70+ miles an hour. So that's the picture in Williamsburg. Let's take you to Iowa City next, and we'll take you there. And again, the evening drive rather continues. Live look at some of those lightning strikes off in the far western horizon there over Iowa City. And up in Vinton, where we know Benton County has been getting hit awfully hard. That's a live look at our rural Vinton sky cam right now. And you can see not a lot happening there. But what a story a picture tells. There's Dubuque, or we should be seeing Dubuque. Just cloudy skies right now. No moisture there yet. But the winds and the rain will be heading their way by probably 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight, off towards the far eastern part of the state there.
Right, so that'll be the last area impacted, and then the front is on through, and that is the end of any severe weather. And then later tonight, especially after midnight, wind gusts of up to 50-55 miles per hour are expected on the back side of the storm. That has nothing to do with thunderstorms. That's just due to the intensity of the low pressure, which is now heading up towards Wisconsin. So we expect these winds to really crank up here at 2 o'clock in the morning. There we are at 7 a.m. Still some 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and all through the day tomorrow, winds will continue to blow at around 40 to 45 miles an hour, and with temperatures falling and wind chill or wind advisories in effect for eastern Iowa. Going to be a pretty raw day compared to what we experienced out there today. So lots of wind ahead of us later on tonight once the thunderstorms depart our eastern counties. Here's the last of the warnings now, and so I think the thunderstorms will be pretty much gone here by about 7 or 7:30 tonight. So with no additional tornado warnings in effect, we're going to say goodbye to Fox 28 right now, and we will continue on with our regular programming here on KGAN. Of course, any new tornado warnings, and we will certainly be back on the air immediately with those. So that's it for now.
Right now, live at 5, we're starting in the Weather Center. You've been following along with Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales and weather anchor Justin Roberts, giving you the very latest. I've been tracking the outages, and in this area, there are only about 165, but southwest, where that storm has blown through, there are 3,000 plus. So you can get an idea of where that storm's been and where it's headed now. So
sure.
What is the latest, Terry?
Well, it is just now approaching the Cedar Rapids metro area, and from Cedar Rapids down to Iowa City, Coralville, that part of our viewing area, that's where the storms are going to be at their peak in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And we can sure show you that on our radar right now. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Cedar Rapids and Iowa City. And as Justin puts the fan on here, you can see that in North Liberty, you should have the storms there by 5:06. Central City, probably about 5:22. And of course, there's Monticello, Cascade, and Farley later on this evening. But here in Cedar Rapids, the storms are imminent. They're knocking on the door and will come on through here with some high winds and some heavy rain very shortly. And if we could, Justin, I would like to maybe go down to the Cedar Rapids metro area and get a tight view of the storms and where they're actually going. And there you can see Cedar Rapids, so getting in tight on that. Now let's go down to the street level if we could, actually, and maybe go a little bit to the west and show you where the actual core of the storms are. There you go. So you can see here in Cedar Rapids, we're just on the eastern fringes of the storms right now. The red cores are still out to the west of Newhall there in Norway, so they are moving rapidly east, and the worst of the storm probably coming into the Cedar Rapids area probably within, the next 15 to 20 minutes. Justin?
And, you know, Terry, we're watching this. Look back towards Van Horn. Look back towards Blairstown, the Benton County area there, too. These folks are getting hit hard with rain. We can kind of give a quick Doppler estimate as to how much rain they're getting. They have that severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15. Also, the severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45 for Johnson, Lynn, Louisa, and Washington County. Very gusty winds here. We're talking about the Iowa City area. So as we do that, let's show you a quick live picture of what it looks like in the Iowa City area, courtesy of our Skycam. And you can see traffic moving awfully slowly there as it continues to wind through. And we were showing you Williamsburg, Terry, how quickly these things start to clear out. And that is what it looks like in Williamsburg compared to that torrential downpour we were just watching about 4 minutes ago.
Very impressive. Yeah, traffic's starting to move once again after being nearly stopped due to the winds and the high rain out that way. So again, it's going to be quick-lived thunderstorms. They won't be in any one area very long as they rapidly traverse to the eastern Iowa corridor here. We would expect wind gusts of 50 to 60 mile an hour with the stronger storms, but right now we do not have any more tornado warnings in effect. We had a number of those earlier on. What you're looking at right now from Waterloo to Cedar
Sorry,
Rapids.
Terry, you just jinxed us.
That's the
Brand
end of
new
that,
tornado warning. This is now for Black Hawk County. This will go until 5:45 this evening. Let's show you the county. And this pretty much includes all county-wide there. So Waterloo, Cedar Falls, LaPorte City, folks there, that'll continue until 5:45. Let's go from there right into Doppler radar, and we'll zoom you right into the Waterloo area now. Brand new tornado warning. Excuse me, we were watching this as it kind of rolled from Grundy County back towards the east and continues to move up towards the north and east. So there's the line, and it looks like the most intense part of that around LaPorte City back over towards the dike area, but moving up towards the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles an hour.
Why don't you give me a little velocity on that, see if we can detect any rotation down around LaPorte City. I'm sure that's about where the circulation is. Not very well defined, I can tell you that right now, but there is definitely some rotation there. So that's the reason for the warning. This is a Doppler indicated tornado, so it is not confirmed, not touching the ground at this point that we're aware of. But even if it was, it'd probably be very small and short-lived. Not much of a signature there for that particular cell, but just the same, we do have the tornado warning now in effect for Black Hawk County. And then that mass of red that extends from just south of Waterloo all the way back down just to the west of Cedar Rapids and Iowa City there and towards Washington. That's all one big line of thunderstorms that's moving rapidly northeast at 40 to 45 miles per hour. That will likely produce high winds and heavy rain all along the line. But the important thing to note here is that since the storms are moving so fast, they will probably not last much more than 5 or 6 minutes in one location, and then things will start to improve again very quickly.
And a reminder to our viewers, when there's a tornado warning in the area, we stay wall to wall until we feel the threat is gone or the threat itself does disappear. I don't think this one's going to last all the way till 5:45, Terry, but certainly we're going to watch it with some of those very strong winds that have been kind of rolling through the forecast. There we go over to Waterloo. And some of those areas we were talking about, about half hour, 45 minutes ago, where we're seeing those little notches, where we're seeing those little kind of pockets and shapes there. That denotes some of those awfully gusty winds. And as we show you that on radar, we tell you that some reports coming into the National Weather Service, wind gusts 45, 50, 55 mile an hour. And that will continue to kind of move up towards the north and the east. So with that tornado warning in the Black Hawk County area, let's throw a tracker on it as it continues to pass up towards the north and east relatively quickly here. So we'll take the kind of meatiest part of the storm and move it up towards the north and east. Urbana, 511. Center Points, again, northern Lynn County, 516. Oldwine, 531. Manchester into Delaware County at 544. Monticello and Dyersville to kind of towards the top of the hour and heading in towards 6 o'clock this evening.
Justin, if you would please, I would like you to go into the Waterloo metro area, and we're going to get down to some street level mapping here and give you a better view of what is going on in Waterloo, Cedar Falls, that general part of our viewing area. And you can see the heavier cells are still down to the south, moving in a northerly direction. But in downtown Waterloo right now, there's some heavy rain approaching there and perhaps some stronger winds. But you are under a tornado warning in Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Black Hawk County for the next 45 minutes, I believe. So hopefully that will be canceled. Not seeing any evidence of a tornado there that's very strong, but just the same, the warning is in effect. And in Waterloo, you can expect the storms to be moving through very quickly here in the next 1 to maybe 5 minutes. Further south, Want to get you to Cedar Rapids if at all possible.
We can do that. Sorry, we're working on a couple Skycam things.
There's a lot of things going on.
There's
here.
a lot of things happening. The engineers are here. That's never a good sign. No, I'm kidding, of course. There we go, zooming down into the Blairstown, Van Horn area.
Yeah, there's
a very
too.
intense line there, and Vinton's about to get throttled here.
Why don't you go into Vinton, too? Let's go on some street level there in the Vinton area. And there's a nice little core there just west of Vinton. I don't see any evidence of any hail, but there is definitely going to be some real heavy rain and probably some strong winds of at least 50 miles an hour in Vinton very shortly as the line advances across that part of our viewing area. And now further south, we'll get you back down towards Newhall there, and that's where the leading edge of the stronger winds are located. Finally, some more down around Walford, too. But if you're in Cedar Rapids and you're waiting for the storms, you won't have to wait too much longer. There you can see the metro area, and most of the storms now are still just west of the city, but moving quickly off to the east-northeast, and they'll be in here shortly with some strong winds and some heavy rain. Shouldn't last very long, though.
Brand new tornado warning now for Lynn County as well as Johnson County. This will go in effect until 6 o'clock this evening. Lynn and Johnson County, you will no doubt start hearing the sirens here in a very short amount of time. As we'll zoom out, let's show you the counties first here. And bear with us, we'll load the graphics.
Yeah, I want to see if we can get some rotation on this, too, because I just haven't seen too much of that here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Certainly the wind is there, but it looks like the rotational signature. Here's the brand new warning. 6 o'clock tonight. For Johnson and Lynn County, that obviously includes Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, North Liberty, back to Walford, down towards the Solon area. That's until 6 o'clock, in addition to our tornado warning for Blackhawk County until 5:45 this evening. Certainly in storm mode, and this is where we will stay until further notice at this point anyway, as this continues to roll through the picture. Terry, I'll take you to radar. And we'll take a look at some, we'll see if we can find maybe a little rotation with these as they roll into the picture here.
Yeah, I want you to get down in that Iowa City area there where you can see where the warning is located. So if you would go to your velocity now, this is where we should be able to see some evidence of rotation and maybe back it out just a little bit there. I'm not quite sure if we're seeing what we want. Can you give me a back out just a touch?
Oh, sorry, Terry. I'm just pulling up a Skycam here real quick. We'll shortly go to the live look at Cedar Rapids and Iowa City Skycams,
we want to get
too.
up. The sirens are definitely blowing now in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, as a tornado warning is in effect for those two areas. Here's the thunderstorms we're looking at now, and clearly the strongest activity currently is located over Johnson County, and that's the area there just to the west, northwest of Iowa City that seems to have the potential for a tornado, and hence we do have the warning in effect. If you could give your velocity mode, there you go, that's what we're looking for right in there. And again, I would say it's probably just a little bit to the southwest of Iowa City where the best rotation is located, but not a real clear couplet. Maybe that area just west of North Liberty too. Bottom line is, these are going to be fast-moving spin-ups. They're not going to last very long. I don't expect large tornadoes, but small ones are very, very likely in a situation like this. And
Terry,
there you can see the Iowa City.
Let's take our garage cam, if we could, real quick, and we'll just pop the mics open. This is the sound here, Cedar Rapids right now, Iowa City as well. This is the outdoor siren. And kids, we know you might be home alone. You might be hearing the sirens. You might be worried. You might be scared. That's okay. There's nothing to be worried about. We need you to get to that safe spot right now. That safe spot is the basement. That safe spot is into the most interior room of your house, bathroom, a closet, wherever you can get to put as many walls between you and the chance of these very strong winds and possibility of a tornado out there as well. I want to take a look at some of our graphics here, and as we do that, we're going to go back to the radar real quick. And Terry, we've been seeing these strong winds, but I'm just not seeing the signatures and that rotation or any of that velocity of what you would normally see as these issues or these warnings are issued.
Right, and not to minimize the risk here, but this is not a situation like you would see in the spring where we have large supercell thunderstorms that are just individually focused in one area. This is more of a linear event, a line of storms that extends from Waterloo all the way down into southeastern Iowa. And as a rule, those do not produce large tornadoes. They're typically fast movers and relatively small, so we're hoping that is the situation today. And sometimes you get rotation for a short period of time and then it quickly vanishes. So at this point, we have no confirmed tornadoes, but we do have a tornado warning in effect for the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, North Liberty, Coralville area, and now until, what is it, 5:45? Is that what we got on
6
that?
o'clock
6
for
o'clock.
Lynn and Johnson County, and 5:45 until Blackhawk County for our viewing area here.
And we should probably take a quick look up north, too, in the Blackhawk area to see what's going on there, if nothing's changed, but we haven't been up there in just a few minutes. So let's head up to Waterloo and see what we can find in that part of our viewing area, into Cedar Falls, too. Still, you can see that line, boy, it's very evident all the way down in eastern Iowa. But up that way, still nothing that really glares at me, probably more southeast of Waterloo, if anything, right now.
Maybe towards that Brandon area. LaPorte City will take you down there here and kind of look.
Right.
And we got a little activity, but certainly nothing definitive or well defined.
You're right. More towards Vinton, there does seem to be an area there where there was perhaps a scan there where there's a little bit of rotation. Certainly some things showing up there that catch my interest, but nothing that's very clear in terms of an overall circulation. So from there, let's go on back down towards Iowa City, see if anything changed on the recent scan there. And there you're getting into North Liberty, Iowa City. I'm still not seeing anything that really stands out in my mind. Maybe if we pan up north just a little bit. And, well, I would say probably just west of North Liberty there is the area that would be indicating the rotation, but it is a very weak couplet. I can just tell you that much right now looking at the radar. But if you're in the North Liberty area or just a little bit north of there, up around Swisher, this is a pretty strong thunderstorm, and it's probably going to have some strong winds and some very heavy rain and perhaps a brief tornado. So if you're in that part of our viewing area, take it very seriously. And of course, sirens were blowing here in Cedar Rapids, and we're under a tornado warning as well until 6 o'clock tonight.
Tornado warning, as Terry mentioned, until 6 o'clock tonight for Lynn County, for Johnson County. That includes Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, North Liberty, and just some more updates here. Nothing extended, nothing being expired, but as you can see, we're kind of keeping a watchful eye on the weather forecast. We also should mention that we've got plenty of thunderstorm warnings as well here, too. Let's take a look at those thunderstorm warnings, and as we do that, I'm going to pull up our safety tips, just because not so much the tornadic threat, but with those gusty winds, still a good idea to get into shelter. Just got a text from my girlfriend. They're taking shelter where she works right now up around the Hiawatha area. And, you know, you hear the sirens. That's kind of what you're trained to do. That's kind of what you're supposed to do. Even though we don't see that huge threat, it doesn't mean that the conditions aren't dangerous out there. So it's something we want to watch out for. And these thunderstorms eventually will transition to that kind of situation where we've got some very strong winds moving through the picture here.
And I believe Karen may have some information on some power outages that have occurred, especially in the southern part of the metro area here in Cedar Rapids. Can you enlighten us on what's going on there, Karen?
Sure, Terry. Very quickly, just want to let you know that the number of Metro South outages has tripled since we last spoke. It was around 130. It's now at about 450. So that number's rising as the storms get closer and closer to Cedar Rapids and the outlying areas.
Okay, very good. And I'm sure that we're seeing other areas around eastern Iowa that have had some wind damage and perhaps some power outages too. And Justin now putting up some safety tips here to go over. These are always good ideas when you're in a situation like we are tonight when we do have tornado warnings in effect. You like to talk more about that, Justin?
Yeah, we've been mentioning, of course, hearing the word now of folks taking shelter. If you're home, if you've heard the sirens, need you to get to a sturdy building within Lynn and Johnson County. Get to the lowest level of the structure that you can be, away from windows, away from doors, get under something sturdy. And certainly if you're listening to us driving on the road, we need you to get somewhere safe. You know, should conditions warrant, we need you to pull over to the side of the road and get into a ditch, lowest level you can, because we know a lot of folks listening to us on the radio as well. I can tell you now, our radio partners, 98.1 KHAK joining us, as well as 104.5 KDAT, KRNA as well, and up in the Cedar Valley, our over 19 radio station network of Weather First forecast stations listening to us. We're on the air. Tornado warning continues until 5:45 for the Cedar Valley up in Blackhawk County, and until 6 o'clock for Lynn and Johnson County here. Let's take you outside real quick, as not a lot of lightning yet in Cedar Rapids as we look from our sky cam here, but we've been watching things kind of strike awfully bright with that live look. And Terry, the other thing we're noticing is the winds increasing. That sky cam starting to sway back and forth in those ever increasing winds now too.
Yeah, the core of the storm shouldn't be too much further away from Cedar Rapids, at least right here in the core of the city. And so I would expect the winds will pick up here very rapidly in the next few minutes, and we could see some gusts and spots that reach up to 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. But so far, despite the fact we have a tornado warning in effect, we have had no confirmed tornadoes. This was all Doppler indicated. There was some rotation that prompted the warning, but so far nothing confirmed, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that that's the way it stays here as we go through northern Johnson and now southeastern Lynn County. And it does look like they may have shifted the warning a little bit there.
Yeah, let's go back to that. Looks like things have kind of shifted just a little bit off towards the east and south now. That would still be Cedar Rapids back towards Ely, Solon, up towards the that would be the not Walford, Toddville. Why can't I think of the name? But Swisher and Shoeyville area, that area too, and very northern Johnson County into the southern Lynn County area as well. Rest stop out there, out towards the eastern Iowa airport, and kind of heading over towards the Airport National Golf Course, just for a point of reference as we use that to kind of show you where the warning includes now and kind of where this is all headed, continuing to move off towards the east at about 45 to 50 miles an hour.
And one of the things, go back out on your larger view there. I think I'm going to just explain what's going on here synoptically because it is kind of an interesting event. You'll notice in central Iowa there's just nothing but dry conditions. And the reason for that is that the storm center itself is now located north of Des Moines, and it continues to track northeast. Attached to it is a cold front that's now running through the central part of our viewing area, and that is where the thunderstorms are currently forming. And you can see it's one solid line. It's not individual clusters of thunderstorms, which we would call supercells. So I don't think this is really a classic tornado situation by any stretch of the imagination, but there is enough instability and shear in the atmosphere for some rotation and perhaps a brief tornado spin-up. But I'm not expecting anything major out of this type of situation.
This is a live look from our Williamsburg sky cam right now, where about 20 minutes ago they were dealing with very intense heavy rain, strong winds. They had a tornado warning in effect. Take you down to Iowa City now. This is the live sky cam, and the rain so hard you can barely make out traffic lights. You can kind of see a few of the cars kind of traveling on the road there. There's I-80, and I-80 continues to stretch back towards the north and east there, but again, with that reduced visibility, we're seeing strikes of lightning. And let's go to Cedar Rapids here. This is the tower cam that we've got here at Broadcast Park, or at least that's what we should be seeing here. Tower cam at Broadcast Park, and you can see that not much of a picture there as well as this continues to move through eastern Iowa. And luckily, it looks like that tornado warning area keeps getting smaller and smaller. And I call your attention too, Terry, to kind of northeastern Blackhawk County now too, where that warning, originally the entire county, that has now shrunk in size too. Waterloo, back towards Dunkerton, just towards the west of the Jessup area there too.
Right, I don't see that cell doing too much up there. It just does not look very impressive to me. But if you're in northeast Blackhawk County, clearly you want to keep an eye to the sky there. There is a little bit of rotation there, not too far away from Brandon, but you know, bottom line, that just does not look overly impressive to me. Same thing with the storm that's now moving through Lynn County. Not a classic signature or rotation associated with that. But the storm has arrived here in Cedar Rapids, and we can take a live look outside. And this is what we're seeing here at Broadcast Park. Heavy rain currently coming down. I don't see tremendous amounts of wind right now, but the rain has definitely arrived, and it is coming down hard.
Our anemometer on the roof here, Terry, right now, Broadcast Park, 11 miles an hour. Our temperature is still 59. We've had, ever since it started raining, we've quickly picked up about 300 of an inch in the last 10 minutes.
All right. Now, there's the radar once again. And one of the things that clearly you can see here is that we had a pretty solid line of red out to the west of us here not too long ago. But really, that's kind of fallen apart now, which is great news for the Cedar Rapids metro area, but still some stronger cells northwest and southeast. But it looks like we're going to get out of it in pretty decent shape here in Cedar Rapids, despite the fact we had the sirens blowing not too long ago.
But from the tornado warnings, we now have brand new severe thunderstorm warnings. These just being issued, and this is the, excuse me, apologize. These continue to move off towards the north and east following that natural storm progression as they've been moving. Severe thunderstorm warnings for Jones, Clinton, Cedar, and Scott County, just outside the viewing area until 6:15 this evening. Of course, Monticello, Anamosa, the Wyoming area, back towards Clarence, Tipton as well over in that Cedar County area. that until 6:15 this evening. So a good 45 minutes away until those warnings expire. And one of the interesting things, Terry, is that the warning is out there, but if we go to radar, the storm hasn't quite even made its way into Jones County yet. It's just starting to intensify now, but some of the heaviest part of that storm continues to roll through Lynn County, through Johnson County, through Benton County, continuing to move it up there towards the north and east. So let's put a tracker on this. It's moving off towards the north and east at about 50 miles an hour, so still maintaining that speed. It would be around Anamosa at 532, Manchester at 540, up in Delaware County, 549 in Wyoming, and up towards northeast Iowa, Guttenberg at 620.
And if you move the radar down just a little bit past Iowa City there, I think the strongest cell actually looked like it was had advanced off to the southeast of Iowa City. You can see maybe from West Branch down to West Liberty. There's a couple of pretty intense looking cells there, which could be producing some hail, maybe some hail cores in there just to the west of West Liberty. But those look to me like the strongest parts of the storms right now. And there is our hail product. And I'm guessing probably half an inch to an inch. There's 1.1. So at least according to the algorithms, that potential does exist there just northeast of Riverside for some hail that could be up to an inch in diameter. But these are not likely to be big hail producers. Wind is going to be the issue with these, and some of the gusts could reach 50 to 60 in some spots along the line. I do have a picture I wanted to show you, and this comes from one of our viewers. This is Terry. And I don't recall exactly where this was taken. It was out west of Cedar Rapids, Blairstown. And you can see how quickly the sky is going to clear out once the storms move through. And we will have some stars out here by probably 8 or 9 o'clock over most of all of eastern Iowa. And then the clouds come back in and the winds will pick up later on tonight. And we're anticipating wind gusts, straight line winds of 50 to 55 miles per hour later on tonight on the backside of the storm. And that has nothing to do with thunderstorms.
A bit of good news. The tornado warning for Johnson County has been allowed to expire, but we're still keeping an eye on that tornado warning for Lynn County. That's going to stay with us through 6 o'clock this evening. I would suspect that will probably reach expiration point here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, Terry, at this point. Just not seeing the normal telltale signs of that rotation that we were certainly seeing a lot stronger earlier this afternoon.
Right, and we're going to go back out to our garage cam here, and now the winds are starting to blow here in Cedar Rapids. A lot of lightning out there and some torrential rains. And so the core of the storm has now reached the metro area of Cedar Rapids and Broadcast Park. But it sure looks to me like we probably got some winds right now, maybe 35 to 40 miles an hour. And what are you seeing for the rain over there? We've probably picked up some numbers here.
We've gained just 400 of an inch in the last 5 minutes. So it's starting to pick up a little bit. Let's go back to, I want to zoom out. There's the radar. Here's where we're, just for a reference point, Broadcast Park, northeast side of Cedar Rapids. We're a good 7 miles away from the Eastern Iowa Airport. That's the official reporting site for the National Weather Service. And here we are right there. You can see where that little box is. That's where we are in relation to, you got Collins Road, you've got C Avenue moving through. We're picking up some of the heaviest rain right now in our neck of the woods, but still heavier showers up around the Center Point Road area, Blair's Ferry, northwest of town. There you see north of Hiawatha. And then down towards kind of the downtown area, crossing over Mays Island, 380 there. And bearing in mind that this is the heart of the evening commute here. And with these very heavy rains and very strong gusty winds, we probably need to take a little extra time to get from point A from point B as this continues to move through the area.
Now that region down around Bertram there and a little bit further southeast, let's focus on that just a touch, because that is where the tornado warning remains in effect. And so we certainly have some strong storms there, but as you go to the velocity, not seeing anything that indicates much in the way of rotation. And you might have to back me out just a little bit there. We're in pretty tight, but I'm just kind of scanning that general part of Lynn County, southeastern Lynn County. And boy, I'm just not seeing it there. So that is good news. If you're in eastern Lynn County right now, I don't see any tornado signature on the radar. So maybe some strong winds, but right now, not seeing anything that certainly indicates a tornado to me. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Just picked up another 407 inch, Terry, in that short amount of time. We're now up to 1,507 inch in the last 20 minutes.
Good gully washer there, and that's what these storms will do. Rain like crazy, move on through very quickly, and then that'll be the end of it. And already the severe weather threat is pretty much over west of a line from, let's say, Charles City to Waterloo, to near Cedar Rapids, and then to about Iowa City. If you're west of that line, the chance of any additional severe weather are very limited now as the front continues to crank its way east across eastern Iowa. So I'm expecting the thunderstorms to really taper off quickly across our viewing area from west to east, especially from central and eastern counties in the next hour or two.
Live look at Williamsburg, where they had the storms earlier. They're starting to kind of clear out a bit. Let's go up to Benton County. This is our live Benton sky cam.
Yep.
You can see that clearing out as well. And a bit of good news here. We do have the tornado warnings that were, and I use plural, warnings that were in effect have now expired for Benton and Lynn County. But we do have still thunderstorm warnings that we're watching. These will continue. The tornado warning's been replaced by a thunderstorm warning up in Buchanan County. That's going to stay in effect until 5:30. Severe thunderstorm warning continues till 5:45 for Johnson, Lynn, Louisa, and Washington County. And the newest one until 6:15. Clinton, as well as Cedar, Jones, and Scott County. Severe thunderstorm warning continuing there as these storms continue to move off towards the east pretty quickly at about 45 to 50 miles an hour.
Well, that's great news. We did not see any circulation on our Doppler here, so I'm not surprised that the warnings were canceled, and hopefully we can keep it just to severe thunderstorms here as we go through the rest of the evening. I do know we have a picture from Steffi Lee, who's been out tonight in the storms, and she sent this to us, and you can see the torrential rains that she was experiencing as the storms came on through. But I think that the rain will be pretty much over in Cedar Rapids here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And after that, we pick up the winds and the colder temperatures for the rest of the night. But Justin, I don't know, seeing as we have no more tornado warnings in effect and just severe thunderstorm warnings, I think we've got everybody pretty much up to date on what's happening. We'll be touching in regularly here through the next hour or so with updates on the severe weather situation. But thanks for your assistance. And of course, stay tuned to KGAN and Fox 28. We'll have all your latest weather updates as we go right on through the evening hours.
That's right. We'll keep an eye out off towards the east. Those thunderstorm warnings continue. That information, CBS2Iowa.com, as well as some of those gusty winds. And you'll talk more about those strong winds moving into the forecast. Probably we'll see those winds really pick up the next couple of hours as that second wave of rain starts to move in towards 8, 9 o'clock tonight.
That's right. And by the way, anybody that has any pictures, so we'd love to see them. So send them to our site here. And for now, that's where we'll leave it.
We'll send you to CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley coming up.
Thanks for joining us.